Well, all right. So, start up. All right. So, in this podcast, we will be talking about and discussing Cyberpunk 2077 and all the elements that go within that game. All right.
All right. So, question: what is Cyberpunk 2077? It's an open world sci-fi RPG. So, RPG, for those that may not know, means role-playing game. So, video games come in obviously different form factors. We have the FIFAs and the NBAs, which are more sport types. Then we have more role-playing games, which follow traditionally. There's a story, and you take control of a character. Let's take for example, like a Spider-Man game. That'd also be similar to a role-playing game because you take the role of Spider-Man in that game and you follow his actions throughout the story, and your actions do impact how the story ends up. But that's basically what an RPG is. So Cyberpunk 2077 is just like that. It's an RPG. But what makes it different than other games is that it's open world. I think I could dive into that, but you guys can obviously add in. I'm not too keyed in on the definition, but from what I understand, is that like in some games it's like closed world, so your actions, like characters, are like predefined. Characters have certain action points, and they're just certain storylines you can take. But in an open world, like every NPC, so other non-playing characters have their own choices as well. So it's more similar to reality where your interactions do impact how the story pans out and just overall how the world plays out because of your actions. Am I right in that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, a good example I think would be GTA. You can obviously just go around
Yeah, it's
killing people on the
it's kind of like
streets,
you have
or
free
you could
choice
actually
in what you want to
follow,
do.
the
So
missions or
if you want to
whatever
just
you got.
hang out and do nothing for when you
But I
play, you can
assume
do
that this
that. Or
open
if you
world
want to
would
follow
be
the story
a
exactly, you can do
better
that.
one,
You
obviously
just
given
have that open
technology and
choice,
how
and that's kind of what an
AI
open world game
has
means.
improved over the years compared to, say, a GTA that was made, I don't
Yeah,
know, 8 years ago.
Right. And to kind of elaborate on that, I was actually watching a YouTube video where uh somebody played it for 4 hours straight and gave their review, and the guy was saying that
Three.
basically there are a couple different storylines that you could potentially go through. I think he said three or four. So it's kind of cool because if me
Mm.
and like if we all played it, we wouldn't really have the same exact storyline per se.
To go off what Josh said, with the three styles of gameplay choices, it would be Nomad, Street Kid, and Corpro is what I just looked up.
Want to break those down because I did not know that there are three different styles.
Yes. So Nomad is what
Right.
it seems like is you start out in the outdoors, not in the city, and you yeah, okay. Yeah.
Okay.
yeah. I guess actually let's go over like what the environment is maybe. So before we go into that, because it would help, I think. So, there's basically two environments. There's Night City and then outside of Night City. And so Night City is this giant sprawling
on that, so I
environment
didn't really
that's
catch,
obviously
but like,
the
does it shift the
downtown
game?
of the
how
game
do I
basically,
explain it? Like
and
in,
it's super
I'm referring back
futuristic.
to
There's
Spider-Man, the Spider-Man
thousands
game.
and thousands
Basically,
of
when
people
it's
living in
nighttime,
there,
the game
and then
changes its
outside of the
entire
city is
aesthetic
basically
and
barren
like has
wasteland.
its own separate
And
loading
yeah,
screen to
so
load into it, or to
basically
be
your
seamless,
character
like you
depends
just
on where
are
you are. So
leaving Night City to go to the outer edges. Does that make sense?
I'm assuming in this game it'd be seamless, but the amount of resources they put into this.
Okay, because like in the Spider-Man game, I don't know if you guys have played, but like you play during daytime, right? But then if you want to go to nighttime, then a loading screen comes, and then it loads nighttime mode. So it's not that time just naturally progresses and then it becomes nighttime, you know? So I don't know if in this game would it be just a seamless like, oh, I'm driving my car away from Night City and now I'm in the outer edges, or would it be like, here we're loading ourselves into the outer city because you are leaving Night City? Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah. I would assume that there's probably loading screens just because of the scale of the game.
So there's
and
3
the complexity
playing
that's involved.
styles.
But
Yes. So what were those 3?
I would guess that
So
like
Nomad,
time still progresses. Like if you're in an
Corpo,
area, like
and
you can see like the sun moving and
Street
things
Kid.
like that.
Yeah.
Like feel the effects
Street
of
Kid.
time changing.
And then so Nomad is
Street
just
Kid.
you're just moving around, I assume. Yeah.
Yeah, you're in the outdoor city. Yeah. Oh yeah, you're in the outdoor section of the city.
Yeah, so like
you're not a part of the city, I guess.
Oh, go ahead.
You're on your own. You're a rebel, I guess you could say, is the Nomad style. Let's see, Street Kid, I guess you're a punk in the city, I guess. Gangster.
Yeah.
Gangster.
Kinda
Okay,
like a rich
there's
kid
a lot
almost.
of like
There's like
reference to that in the trailer. And then the third one was?
And the third one was Corpro. So
Corpro was on.
part of the corporation of that city.
You know, this honestly gives me vibes of
I was thinking of Black Mirror when I
not Alita Battle Angel, but low-key that, or I don't know if you've seen the Netflix show. Oh no, now I forgot. Oh good God. Yeah, Black Mirror or what's the other show?
Sure.
Lord, I gotta look it up. Anthony, it's the one Anthony Mackie show.
yeah.
I don't know if you guys have seen it. Altered Carbon. I don't know if you guys have seen that show.
Yeah.
Like this very much gives me Altered Carbon vibes. You know, like there's an upper society, right? Or you work for the corporation. Then there's like punk gangsters.
It's kind of like the city is controlled by the corporations, basically. So like the corporations basically control the government, they control the police, they control all that kind of things, all those kinds of things. And then there's like the rebels on the streets and the homeless people in the city and things like that. So like there's kind of that upper tier of like the corporation people that have their hand in everything, and then there's kind of the lower class or whatever, which is like the street kids and the nomads and things like that.
Fair. Yeah, I don't know. Just when I was like reading into that, gave me a lot of like Altered Carbon vibes, you know.
Got it.
So then, the character we're given, do we know like which faction he's a part of then, or?
No.
Yeah.
You choose which faction you want to start in.
Yeah, what I read is that there's like a main storyline that everybody will end up playing, but the start of your story is based on which character you choose. So eventually you get to the point where the storylines are the same no matter what character you chose, but before that you get to do the unique aspects of that character.
And you like work your way into the city then, I assume.
Okay.
I would say just the time that's been put into it, and then the background of the creators. So the studio that's working on it is CD Projekt Red, and they've made some incredible games in the past. They've made the Witcher series, which is one of the most in-depth like RPG fantasy games there is out there, and just the time this game's been in development has just made the hype really grow. So.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, they've had a celebrity impact for sure. So.
And then obviously with each different character comes different loadouts, powers, just overall lifestyle. Interesting. Let's see what else. We already talked the setting, basically. We already talked the 3 different characters. So then why is there hype behind this game? Yeah.
Yeah. I think the one word that like comes to mind is just depth. Like the game is just incredibly deep. I was watching a video about the audio design of the game, and they had like 40 different cars that they
and one of the
recorded and
videos I
recorded the
saw,
sounds for
so
just
the
to make
same
it
guy
like
who
that
did
much more immersive.
he played it
And
for
it
4
seems like they're
hours
doing
and
that
did
kind
a
of thing
review.
with
He said
every
that
single
Keanu
aspect of the
Reeves
game.
didn't really show up again for a while in like later as far in the story as you got, because it's such like a long story.
Interesting.
He
I mean,
said he
what does I
barely
guess what
scratched the
doesn't help
surface
is
in
that
4
Keanu
hours.
Reeves
So
was at the
just like you said,
launch.
it seems like they put a lot of time, a lot of thinking into it, and the story is going to reflect that time.
Yeah.
You know, mhm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Actually, something popped into my head.
That's incredible.
So then, what would differentiate
Mhm.
this game from, say, like a Destiny game? For those that don't know, Destiny's like it's like a multiplayer. What are you gonna call it? It's like a multiplayer first person shooter RPG, right? It's like an RPG shooter, but the difference is you can call in your friends to come play with you. Is there a similar aspect in this game or no? Like a solo?
This might just be a single player game. Yeah. I'm assuming, but there could always be like a multiplayer aspect
like
in
online.
there. Maybe you could call in friends. Maybe,
because I think that was like the biggest draw of Destiny back then was that, oh whoa, I'm playing an RPG, right? Like I'm playing a solo campaign, but I can load in my friends. But at the same time, I think that's what kind of made it. What made Destiny suffer was that like that's why the story was so shallow, because they couldn't go more in depth, because you'd have to load it in 2 different people or however many people in your party. You have to load them into and account for their choices or whatever they do. Not that Destiny's
I would say it's very similar to the
choice
Witcher
heavy
in the
game,
aspect that
but you
like,
get what I mean, right? Like this
you
one
have all
is
these
so
choices in
heavy
the
with
story and
the
the
amount
unique
of
things
choices
and all
you
your
can
abilities and
make,
things like that. But I
the
think it's just the
characters,
setting.
just
The
overall
Witcher
where you
set,
start in the game. There's so much
like
in
in a
depth in the
medieval setting, and
story
then obviously
and the actions you
CyberPunk is
make that
set
I
in the
think
year
it'd be too
2077,
hard
and
to
that just kind
have,
of like
oh yeah, let me
changes
just
everything completely.
load in
So
my friend to play
instead
with me in
of
this mission.
castles,
But who
and
knows?
that kind
I
of
don't
thing,
think so
it's
though.
skyscrapers and flying cars and things like that.
Yeah. So then, what differentiates this game from a Witcher?
Yeah.
Well,
Mm.
No, that's fair.
That's true, and that's what's like. I like that aspect of it, because like, okay, 2077, could we live in a society like this in the future? Who knows?
Is this a society we envision? So, if this project were to become successful, actually, first let's talk about that.
I agree.
Will this
I feel
project be
like the bar
successful
is
or
just
not?
set so incredibly
In my
high.
opinion,
Like everybody's
I think it'll
expecting
be
this to be
successful,
the
but
best
the
video
amount
game
of
ever made.
press
Like that's
and
like literally the
hype
expectations of people
and
right now.
pressure
And
that
if
is
it
on the
doesn't
studio right
match
now,
those
I
expectations,
think like they might,
obviously it's not
like
going to get
obviously as an organization
a ton
themselves,
of
they
love
have
towards
their
it.
own
But
goals, right? They'll
I
achieve
see
those
the
goals,
game
right? But then
being
we as
good
consumers
enough to
have
where a
put
lot of
like
people are going
a
to want to purchase
bajillion
it
more
and play
now
it.
because we're just
So,
hyping this thing up, right? Like, oh my god, Cyberpunk, right? That maybe like fans
oh yeah,
will feel like lukewarm, maybe like a 6 or 7 instead of maybe a solid 9, because we've just put so much hype into this game. Yeah, I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, like No Man's Sky. It's a sci-fi, like planet hopping game or whatever, right? That had absolutely insane hype around it when it released, and it really did not meet those expectations, and it really failed hard because of that. So I hope that doesn't happen with this, but.
Yeah, I believe this game will most definitely make a profit for sure. But yeah, like you were saying, Ali, the hype, like I've seen this with multiple games. The hype could just completely kill a game when it comes out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, once again, just I think the hype might be putting too much pressure on the studio, but I don't know. We'll see. I think on top of that, what doesn't help is that this will be one of the first games to come out on the new next gen consoles, right? Because those consoles haven't been tried and trusted, right? Like we have, like I at least haven't. Well, I freaking missed out on the PS5 pre-order, but shame. But right, so we don't know even how well the PS5 performs, and this will be one of the first few games on
like
this new console.
Pains with the new
and
consoles,
it most definitely put more
gonna hurt the game
effort into the PS5 and Xbox One editions compared to the PS4 and the. Oh wait, did I say the wrong Xbox? Is it Xbox One or is it Xbox One S? Or what's the new one called?
It's Xbox.
Series X. My bad. But they definitely put more effort into the PS5 and One X series than they did the PS4, Xbox One. But we don't even know that how well those consoles are performing yet. So I think that might be slightly a gamble by their end, you know.
Yeah, well, I mean, they've already delayed the game though. That's the thing. Is the game was slated for release in April.
I mean, from my perspective, if
and now it's
there
November.
is so much fanfare about this, I don't know why they couldn't have waited maybe one more year. Like by then, the PS5 and the Xbox will be broken in. By then, like we will know where do each consoles lack, or what are they good at, and then you could drop it because then you like know what people
and that's
truly feel about these
just
consoles,
a common
because these consoles are fresh. Like we don't even know. So we'll not only will we be having a new experience with the console,
take a little longer
but
than
along with that, this
need
new
a little
game,
more polishing than it seems. So I think it's okay for them to delay that. We've seen in the past, like obviously games like No Man's Sky, which were probably released too early.
Oh yeah. So wait, why did they delay the game?
Things happen. So I think it's okay for them to take their time. But
it is October
it has
right now.
been delayed already twice actually.
That's crazy.
So I think they delayed it to get it out on new gen consoles, but also because the crunch time that these developers have on this game, I guess, since they're finishing up, tidying things, trying to perfect it, I guess.
You know, I don't know if there's really like a hard limit. The game was announced in 2013, I think, and so it's been So obviously it's been in development from that time on, but it was probably in development even before that. So I think they're getting to the point where probably like 10 years of development.
But what if they delay it again? Will that not, like, at what point would it start to impact, the consumer? That, oh, what the heck? This is the freaking third time or fourth time. Like, at what point does, the studio decide that, oh, this is like the last time we can delay this or else we're screwed? 2013.
Yep.
Yeah,
Wow.
so
Yeah,
like
it's been
The
some
Witcher 3
years
was
for
released
sure.
in 2015, I think. So they're working on multiple projects at once, basically, is kind of how it goes.
Huh. So I mean, this is a totally unrelated note to Cyberpunk. So then how does the studio make money then if they have been developing this game for 10 years? Because obviously they haven't been selling the game, right? So then how are they
Yeah.
paying employees or programmers that are working on the project if like 2013, that was what, 7 years ago? Like they've been like, how are they making ends meet then? Have they been releasing other games in the meanwhile to foot the bill or what?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yep. And also in 2016 they had an expansion
Yeah.
for Witcher 3. In 2018 they had a
Yeah, they kind of use the money from
Witcher
their
2
previous game
game
to fund the next
out
one.
as
That's kind of how
well
it goes.
to try
Okay.
and I guess
But
meet
at the
ends
same
meet.
time,
Yeah.
like
So I guess
they
the whole
sold almost 30
wishful
million
thinking
copies of The
comes
Witcher
from
3,
this idea where you make a huge project
which is
and the return will just come a
it's that
lot
money.
later. But
Yeah.
makes it better when you're doing multiple projects.
So the way I see it is that they're always working on a delay. Like I bet like when they release Witcher, right? They're basically paying for the work put on Cyberpunk. But then in order to pay for the work on Witcher, they probably had another project like back then. Do you know what I'm saying? Like the timeline for each of these projects is like coinciding, yeah? Huh. Interesting. It's
It's
risky,
risky.
yeah.
I have heard that they've
Yeah, it's
planned
risky
on
business for sure.
creating like DLC for the game.
True.
So like
About
expanding the
100
storyline and
Damn.
making new environments and things like that.
So then if
I would say that will probably happen, but
that is obviously debated if this game will be
because that was a
successful or
huge thing with
not.
The Witcher 3 is
What
they released
are future
some
actions? Will there be a
insanely big
Cyberpunk
DLC,
2078? Will there be like what is the next step if this game becomes successful?
I mean, based off the ending of the game, I guess we don't know what the ending is, but based off the ending, it could determine if there will be another one in a series, maybe going backwards in time, even maybe forwards in space more, other planets.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like the only time a company really puts effort into a DLC is if the game is successful and they can still write off that game and just make increment. That's basically what a DLC is, right? Like an incremental update or an incremental tweak that's like, here you go, right? So I think even that, like if Cyberpunk is getting DLCs, then they're putting the decision they've come upon is that this will be successful, right? Management has its own belief that we think this game will be so successful they will be able to milk this game for a while
like
and just
the World
do
of Warcraft
incremental
movie
DLCs here
was
and
an
there
absolute flop and things
still
like that,
keep
so.
profit streaming.
Yeah. Oh gosh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Case in point, GTA.
Seriously. So maybe an online.
Yeah,
feature?
who knows? That'd be a massive DLC though.
Yeah,
but yeah.
Sure.
But interesting. And then totally unrelated, but sometimes you see movies come out of video games. Like we had the Halo movie. Did that even come out? I feel like I'm tripping. Did that come out?
Yeah.
Halo movie. There's like a series, if I remember correctly, on a Halo. I think it was Halo ODST, I guess.
Yeah. Wasn't there an Assassin's Creed movie too?
Flopped. Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, there's an Assassin's Creed movie.
Yeah.
And I think that I don't know, mate, that might be a plausibility given that Keanu was a part of this project.
Found an interesting thing. There are 500 people working on
a familiar face,
face.
But that'd be interesting to see that what they take.
But
what
that
the next
kind of shows
after
if it's taken at least 7 years in development with like 500 people working on it, it is going to be absolutely crazy.
Oh wait. They are making something. I just remembered.
I knew it. I knew it.
Netflix.
Whoa.
A CyberPunk
anime.
Yeah.
So then in that,
yeah.
I assume it just had to be like a regular TV show. So they just choose one of the storylines and just go with it.
Sure
I assume, yeah. So, because
for sure.
Yeah.
I guess that'll be interesting. I honestly am not surprised.
Yeah, massive dev team. Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, I bet. Honestly, I don't think it's 500 people on the game. I think they probably have like a core team, maybe of honestly 300, and then as they've started to do the project, they've like realized like, yo, we need to borrow some Witcher people. We need to borrow some people from here. Like, good God, this game is massive. Or maybe they, who knows? Maybe they have like straight up 500, like only on Cyberpunk developers. But damn, that's a massive.
I think that's the thing is
endeavor.
The number of people that won't buy it because it got delayed is.
But I mean, then again, I guess they're somehow paying the wages, so
taking more time.
Good on them.
Or it doesn't outweigh the benefit.
But then,
So, I have a question. So, what do you think? Potentially another delay would do for consumers, because I'm assuming they're just delaying to patch up certain things, which there are always patches in every single game. But what do you think it'll do to consumers?
Yeah, so me as a consumer, I'd be a little bit tilted. I've been waiting for this for a while. I mean, I'd still buy it in the end, like whenever it comes out, but
yeah,
right.
Interesting. I think honestly, I think at a manager's standpoint, I think they've done some kind of analysis, probably that like, at what I always think of an econ diagram, supply demand, just lines, and they've come to like a consensus that we shouldn't be delaying, but if we need to, some magic number. Obviously, we don't know the magic number, but they have some magic number that we can at most delay it this much, because any more, then we might just be taking away all this positive press we've been building since April. What would?
Are there any
pros? I mean, obviously, you'd get a better game. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, the more and more you delay, it does. I think it just starts to more drastically impact the hype behind it. Like maybe one delay, all right, happens. 2 delays, all right. I don't know what you didn't fix in the first one, but all right, fix in the second. But like anything more than that, you start to question, well, what's going wrong on the dev team, or what is taking so long? I literally.
Well, I think
and there's people that pre-ordered it too, though. You know what I'm saying?
If there's some absolutely
bigger dollars, right? Obviously, the game itself
is hard to
price,
fix,
but when you pre-order, you pay a higher price to
player's experience.
Get it early.
Like you have
if you're
to
delaying
fix that.
it,
and if you
so
have
first
to
of
delay
all,
for
the
it,
pre-order
that's okay,
people get
because
delayed.
if you have
the mass
an
consumer
awful
themselves
bug or
get
something,
delayed as well.
that hurts the game more than delaying it.
So I don't know. That'll be interesting to see. But do you think there's any other actions? Like, what could be worse than a delay that would impact the game's release? Like, obviously, delays happen, right? Delays, but and they as more happen, they significantly impact the press, and the hype behind it. But then, what would be even worse than that? That would actually just cripple it.
Yeah.
That's fair. Obviously, I don't think in the current scope of things, I don't think there will be like a financial issue. Like, sometimes games will be developed, and then funding gets pulled or something like that. But this is basically almost at dropping. Like they're just about to drop this. I don't think it's a funding issue. I think the worst that could happen is another delay.
I think so far they've really
you usually
avoided
see like the funding issues with
press,
games that are
pretty much
not
all the
fully
press around the
complete,
game
like
has
they're
been
maybe
really
in the
good,
middle of their
so
life cycle.
I think they're kind of doing it
they're
the
like,
right
hey,
way.
we're pulling the plug. We just don't have the money to pursue this opportunity. But yeah, I think honestly the worst action that could possibly happen at this point would just be another delay. Unless some other scandal happens, I don't know. Like maybe maybe the voice actors not being paid. Who knows? That could be a thing though. You know, voice actors coming out and saying, "Yo, we didn't get paid," or not they didn't, but we didn't get paid nearly enough as what we should have been paid. I mean, that could have, that's bad press.
Yeah.
But fair. Well, then I guess we'll have to see when this actually drops. Oh, another thing. This thing is releasing on Stadia, and on that, I don't know if people know what Google Stadia is. So basically, you have your regular consoles, right? You have your PlayStations, your Xboxes, your PCs, or your Nintendo. Then there's Google Stadia, which is how do I say, cloud gaming. So basically, when you have a console, right, like a PlayStation, it's doing the processing on the PlayStation. So it's running the code, it's doing all the processing on its end, and it's also displaying it to your monitor or whatever, right?
No.
In cloud gaming, on Google Stadia is run by Google.
Yeah.
So on
Literally
Google
nothing runs well
servers,
on
they're doing
Stadia,
all
and
the
that's
computing, all the
the main issue with
processing,
it. Like,
and then
it's
they're
a great
streaming it
idea,
to
and if
you.
it was actually
So I guess
done
the
with
best thing about it is that all you need
no
to have is a
lag or
really good
anything
internet
like that,
connection.
it would be great.
But that's also probably its
Stadia would
biggest
be a great
downfall.
idea
It's
for
like you need to
people,
have a massive
but
internet
the
connection
technology
to,
just isn't
be
quite there
able
yet
to
to where it's like a
stream
flawless experience
this
for
like
people.
heavy,
And so yeah, I doubt it will
all
run
this
very well.
information towards your screen. But then a game like this, which there's so many storylines, different characters, choices. Will this run fine on Stadia or not? No?
Yeah. No. Regular games don't run that well on Stadia, so I'm assuming this won't run well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
is it more of like a sacrifice of quality, just because they have to run things on the server?
Don't get me wrong. Like, the processing is the same regardless, right? If you have a PlayStation or Stadia, the processing is happening accurately. Now, the difference is where is it happening, right? So if the processing is happening on my PlayStation, right, which I can see, like it's right there in front of me, right, then it'll display to my screen, right? Like all the processing is within my realm. There's no internet connection that's interfering, or that's not like its biggest variable, right? While with Stadia, that is like the link, because all the computing, processing, all that stuff's happening on Google's end, and then the streaming, but in between is like the highway. If you don't have a good enough internet connection, then the streaming will be terrible.
I'm sure it's Google,
and then
but the thing is, there's very little
glitchy,
cost
or it just doesn't function sometimes because that highway is just not properly functioning.
The only difference between putting it on
I thought it
Stadia
was
and
interesting that Stadia,
other places, like
that's
a
great that
PC,
Stadia is able to get their hands on
just that they have to send it to
big
Google
games,
first.
like
Google
this
has
game.
There's
But at the same
basically
time,
no
like
difference.
that is such a big
the Stadia experience.
That,
is bad,
well, it depends.
But there's no cost for
the person has
it's worth it to them.
50
They'll
Mbps
get some more
or
sales,
100
probably not a
Mbps
lot,
internet.
and
then this will work fine. But if you don't,
that's why I would say it's
I don't know. I think they're honestly. Well, who does that even? Does the studio itself say, "Hey, we want to put this on Stadia," or does Google come up to them like?
Yeah, I would imagine it's Google, because they've been trying to sell Stadia and trying to get Stadia to the level of a traditional console for a couple of years now, and obviously they haven't gotten close. And so having big releases like this is like a step for them to bridge that gap between them and like a PlayStation or an Xbox.
Fair. So then, So then, who does do the procurement? So is it the studio that's like, hey, we want to put this on Stadia, or Google approached them like, hey, we want to put your game on Stadia?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fair. I mean, because like with the given players, Xbox, Nintendo, PlayStation. Not that's going on Nintendo, but like you just kind of either have to approach them because they're just like known players in the game. But Stadia, I think it'll be hit or miss. If it does actually work on Stadia, not only will this be a win for the studio, but it'll be a win for Google itself. That we can get a massive game like this onto our platform. Dope.
Right.
Only reason I mentioned that was because I was looking at the marketing release, and Stadia is the last console listed.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Witcher games.
Interesting. Why is that the last one?
That those were really well done. They're some of the best games out there, and I think that it's just going to be the same sort of thing. Like the game's just going to be really good. Although I am probably going to wait a little bit after launch to get it, just to make sure that it's like to the same quality
would you get
as like the Witcher games.
2077?
Because if it doesn't quite live up to the hype, it might not be worth it for me.
If I had the money, yes.
I think I would too. I like the quality that I've seen, just even in the display itself. And the storyline that we talked about too is really, really engaging. I like it a lot, so I'm definitely gonna buy it.
Yeah. 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 Awesome.
Yeah.
Fair. Makes sense. And you, Sir Braxton?
I probably will buy it, I guess, because I'm a gamer. I love playing video games. I'm gonna wait. No, I'm probably gonna get the day release. I'm praying that the reviews before the day before are all positive when I buy it. I don't waste money.
Seriously. We're gonna wait for your review before we buy it.
I ain't buying that thing until Braxton says, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Bet. Swag. Hey, yo, right. Craig, leave the chat.